So this morning, I kept hearing in my spirit that you have to learn how to transmute fear to love. Now, what happens when sometimes we constantly hear, don't fear, and for a moment, for temporary fix, you don't. But then you go back into that mind state of fearing again. But a lot of reason why it's temporary is because it has not been transmuted into love. It's only been temporarily fixed to love for a moment. And the key thing that you want to understand when you're transmuting fear into love and joy and peace and calmness and everything to raise your vibration is that it has nothing to do with the external, but everything to do with the internal. So a lot of times it's gonna sometimes take some work, some deep internal work to really transmute into love and really be in a place where it's a permanent thing of being transmuted in love, and it's not a temporary thing. Because sometimes you see people and they will move in love, but then something else happens and then they go right back into a state of fear. And the reason why that is because it's not deep rooted in. It's only a temporary moment fix. So it was just kind of in my spirit when I was kind of in meditation. It was like, what if you don't know how to transmute it into love? This is why it's always a temporary fix, but it's not a rooted love. So I want whomever to understand that it is all a process. And I always try to encourage people and tell people, don't be hard on yourself. Understand that everything is a time and a place and a season, and it's okay because it's all a process. And when God and the universe and the divine angels are ready to position you in a certain place, in a certain process for you to go through something, then that's when you'll go through it. But everybody has divine timing of what they deal with in their life. No matter what it is, every challenge, it's all in divine timing. And so to give an example of what I mean transmuting the fear into love is that I'll use myself as an example. I was a person where I was very fearful of speaking. I did not like to speak at all. Even in school, I would hide. I didn't want to speak. I couldn't. I just didn't want to speak in front of nobody. And so I always had a fear of speaking. So as I got older and as I started to tap more into meditation and understanding who I am as a person outside of what I went through as a child and outside of everything else, then it was like I started to understand that me fearing speaking was me feeling as though I wasn't good enough to speak. So to transmute that fear, what did I do? I'm speaking now. So I took that fear of not speaking and I transmuted it into love and speaking now. Whether that means communicating with somebody, whether that means I'm smiling, whether that means I'm on here just encouraging somebody, whether that means however it looks, I transmuted that fear of speaking into love and speaking and being encouragement now. And that's what I mean, that It's a process. But in this process and in this journey, you want to be rooted in love. So a lot of times you have to figure out what is going to work for you, because what works for one person does not work for the next. So you have to figure out what works for you. For me personally, I have certain things that works for me. Meditation works for me. Spiritual books work for me. Just a lot of different things. Yoga works for me. So whatever you do, you have to figure out what is it going to take for you to move out of a state of fear into love, and to be rooted in that love. Because that's where you'll see your vibrations raise higher and higher. That's where you will see the aura, even within yourself, begin to change. That's where you'll begin to see your energy being transformed in such a different way, where you won't just notice, but other people will notice, and you'll carry a certain aura within you that will come out externally. But it's only because you have transmuted that fear and been rooted in love now. So these are the things that you want to get to a place to raise your vibrations, to change your energy, to stay and be rooted in love, to just get in a place where your enlightenment. So you hear people say what they say, but sometimes we don't get the key factors that we need to get to that place. See, when you are transmuted into love, it's like it won't leave any room for you to feel like you have to even remotely fear anything. Even when challenges arise and moments in your life come, those are the moments where you will have to sit back and observe those things. But if you're rooted in love, you'll be able to find the peace in it. You'll be able to be calm. You'll be able to understand the purpose of why you have to go through this. So understand that to come out of a place of fear and to be transmuted into love, I just want people to understand that that's not something that comes overnight. That's not something that you just gonna magically pop into. That takes internal work. It takes you being willing to go back and look at those very things of where it all started and how you got rooted in that place. How did you get rooted in that state of low self-esteem? How did you get rooted in that state of codependency? How did you get rooted in that state of not feeling good enough? How did you get rooted in that state of rejection? How did you get rooted in that state of not being able to trust at all? It's so many things that operate within us that we don't even know. So when you sit back and you understand, you'll understand more to say, okay, what was the root of why was I feeling rejected? Was it because when I was younger I was rejected? You got to get to the roots of what triggered and what caused those things. See, once you can get to the root of those things, then you'll be able to get to these other areas in your life that continues to come up within you. And then you'll be able to internally go within and allow God and the universe and the divine angels to begin to heal you. But sometimes you have to go back to understand the root of where that fear came from in order to get to the root of love. And that's what a lot of times we don't do. We don't go back to the root of fear and where it all started from. We just want to fix it now, quick, fast, in a hurry, but you can't. because it's going to always be a temporary fix. You have to go back to the root of where that fear all started from. You got to go back to the root of where that rejection all started from. You got to go back to the root of where that low self-esteem all started from. You have to go back to the root of where you feared speaking. You got to go back to the root of where you felt ashamed. You got to go back to the root of where you felt guilty. You got to go back to the root of where you felt like you wasn't enough. You got to go back to the root of where you felt like you wasn't worthy. You have to go back to the root of where you felt like you wasn't accepted for who you are authentically. You got to go back to the root of feeling like nothing you did was ever going to be good enough to be accepted. You got to go back to the root of all of those things to understand where it all started from. But then to be able to come back and be rooted in love now. See, understand this, that whatever we deal with now, it is just a product of something that was rooted from back then. That's all it is. So understand that even once we get past this right here, it's still always going to be a constant work. And I don't ever want to get on here and make it seem as though you can just no, it takes work. It takes effort. It takes consistency. It takes you being willing to face those very things that you didn't want to face, and being able to look those things dead in the eye, and being willing to face that pain, and being willing to allow God, not you, but allow God and the universe and the divine angels to transmute all that rejection, all of that hurt, all of that pain, all of that fear, all of that abandonment, allowing God to transmute all of that into love now. And I promise you, when you can allow all of that to be transmuted by God and the universe into love, that's when it's going to be rooted in you. That's when things may arise that was a product or that was a trigger for something you went through. It's not that you won't feel the pain of it again. It's not that it won't hurt. But what will happen is you'll be able to override that hurt and that pain, and you'll be able to allow yourself to go through it more in a way where you'll be able to flow with it. You'll be able to allow yourself to feel what you feel. I'm the type of person where if I'm going through something, and I felt triggered by something, or I felt hurt by something, I don't be hard on myself. If that means if I want to lay in the bed and if I want to just look at TV all day, and if I want to just snack and I just want to just feel the way I feel, I give myself permission to feel that way. Why do I do that? Because I do that because if I give myself permission to feel that way, then what happens is I'm not being so hard on myself. I'm giving myself the space and the time that I need, even in me just laying there in bed and looking at TV and snacking, and when I'm going through something, to just feel it and let it pass. So a lot of the reasons why we are not rooted in love is because whenever we feel something that's uncomfortable for us, we be so quick to want to snap up out of it. We be so quick to want to say, okay, I don't want to feel this. I don't want to feel this hurt. I don't want to feel this pain. I don't want to feel this rejection. I don't want to feel this low self-esteem. I don't want to feel the unworthiness. I don't want to feel like I'm not good enough. I don't want to feel any of this. And because we don't want to feel the uncomfortableness, what do? We are quick to try to start getting our hands and doing something because we don't want to feel the uncomfortableness. But sometimes the best way to transmute that rejection into love, sometimes the best way to transmute that low self-esteem into love, sometimes the best way to transmute that I'm not good enough into love, and sometimes the best way to transmute that fear into love is just allowing yourself to feel the uncomfortableness. That's it. It's not really any major mystical thing. Allowing yourself to feel the uncomfortableness and know that it's okay to feel it. Because if you don't resist it, then it's going to pass quicker. But the more you resist it, the more you're going to continue to keep going through these same cycles of rejection, low self-esteem, unworthiness, all of that. You're going to continue to go through these same cycles. So that's what it means to transmute fear into love. So in order to do those things, you have to be willing to allow yourself to do the internal work. And I always say that you have to do the internal work first. It doesn't start with the external, it starts with the internal. And that may mean you have to revisit some things you don't want to. That may mean you have to confront some things you don't want to. That may mean you have to take full accountability for where you are in your life and why you are where you are. That may mean you have to take full accountability for the relationship that you're in right now, that you're not happy in. That may mean that you have to look at yourself in the mirror and understand it's not everybody else. They are just the reflection of what's really internally within you that you need to deal with. So it was just really downloading in my spirit when I was just kind of sitting. It was like they don't know how to transmute that fear into rooted love. And you hear people say it all day, don't fear, don't fear. And you don't. You're supposed to transmute that. But you want to be able to get to a place in your life where you transmute that to rooted love. Because when you look at it, when I say rooted love, when somebody's rooted, that means that they're not easily moved. That's just like if you look at a tree, right? A tree is rooted into the ground. I don't care how many times you try to knock that motherfucker over, it's rooted. And so you're not going to be able to move that tree because it's rooted, it's there, it's grounded. And that's what being rooted means. You're grounded, you stable, you consistent. You know what the fuck it is that you want to do. You know that you want to get to your purpose and your destination. And you know that this is what I have to get to. You see what I'm saying? And that's what rooted love is. And it's not just rooted love. It's being able to be rooted in your self-esteem. Being able to be rooted in your self-worth. Being able to be rooted in feeling worthy. Being able to be rooted in knowing that I am more than enough. You know, with or without a relationship, with or without a man, I am more than enough. It's being rooted in being single and being so freaking happy and content with your life that you don't need anything else to come in. And if it does come in, it's only an addition. It doesn't define you and it's not going to make you who you are. It's just an addition. And understand being rooted in understanding that whatever you choose to let in your life, that's a choice. Don't make it a neediness or a thing of you having to have it. So this is what being rooted means. And that's the state that we all want to be able to get to, where we are so rooted in love, where you can just give the whole world around you the understanding of what it means to be rooted. And sometimes it'll be through your actions. Sometimes it'll be through your words. However it may look for anybody, that's the place we want to get to. But first you have to learn how to transmute the fear into love. So I just really hope that we all get to a place where we really are willing to do the internal work, so that we can begin to transmute all this rejection and fear and shame and low self-esteem and not feeling good enough, not feeling worthy enough, not feeling accepted, and all of this. I just pray and hope that we all get to a place where we can transmute all of those challenging moments and those things that we was raised up on or that was instilled in us, and get to a place where we transmute it into 100% pure love. So I just wanted to get on here this morning because it was kind of on me, and let everybody understand and know that as long as you're working towards that goal of transmuting those things, then know that that's progress. I always tell anybody that any progress is better than no progress. So whether it's even down to me just coming on here making this video today, this is progress for me. Because I never was the type of kid or even teenager to speak. I just wasn't. So it's progress. So just always know and understand that you want to make some type of progress every day. Because those are the beginning steps to you being able to transmute all of those things into love, rooted love. So, I love y'all. Be good.